Stocks are rebounding today after the big drop on Friday. We'll talk about that. Also share with you how Meta is missing the mark here relative to Google and some of their other competitors. And then we'll just see what other headlines pop up as we go. Before I begin, I must remind you this is a financial education presentation. You must do your own due diligence before acting on anything you hear in this presentation. More disclaimer we found on AnkerstarWealth.com, and the opinions expressed are mine alone. We have the S&P 500 up 0.2%, of course, down about 2.5% on Friday. And then with that, you had 9 green weeks in a row for the S&P 500 leading into last week. So, we had a negative week, kind of broke the streak, sort of to be expected. The S&P 500 was only down 2% on the week. So nothing crazy. It's back to where it was trading around like May 10th, May 12th, somewhere in there. I will say one thing to watch for on a day like today is on any rally, there's people who are sitting on the sideline, not participating to the extent that they want. And so when the market dipped on Friday, they took that opportunity to rush in on Monday morning. So the buyers come flooding in Monday morning to try to say, okay, that was the dip. Now is my chance. As the day unfolds here, you do want to see and kind of monitor, is the strength, sustaining? And it seems to be. We're off the highs. We're up about 1%, but it seems to mostly be holding strong here. I'm just saying that's something to watch, right? Is this a thing where those people on the sidelines are rushing in and they'll kind of run out of steam midday? Or will it be something where the rally is just a little setback on Friday and the rally continues as normal? Anything else I wanted to hit on the market here? We've still got a lot of uncertainty coming out of the Middle East. Oil prices up just an ounce, but not about 1%. So nothing too concerning. We are seeing a big bounce back in cryptocurrencies across the board. However, still, under pressure more broadly over these past few weeks. It has been a bit of a punishing sell-off there. If we want to see what's working, we are now, people are flooding back into the semiconductor trade here. Marvell, Intel, Micron, NVIDIA, all those SMH names. So that's kind of the whole market right now. It is what are semiconductors doing, and that will tell you everything you need to know about the market that day. And if you've been following me a little bit, over this past couple of months, oh, what's Cerberus doing? Hold on. Oh, we don't get to know. Hold on. Let's look at that. But if you've been following me for, Cerberus up 20%. Wow. Okay, interesting. We've been watching the financials group as kind of an indicator and important to note. But again, the weird thing here is the entire market is like, are we flooding semiconductors with money or not? And it's in order to flood 20% into Cerberus and Intel and Micron, that money has to come from somewhere. And so then it kind of can pinch all these other sectors. But at least for today, financials are still not, we need to see them up really at like 53. So they're close. They are close. And they've been a little bit, they've looked to be consolidating here healthy, but it's just not quite what we want to see to feel totally comfortable with the bull market. All right, let's jump over. What has Meta done? Meta saw last week that Google front ran SpaceX to grab $80 billion from mostly the public markets in their kind of never-ending, right, to this point, search of data build out, AI build out, all that stuff. Google was able to capture peak enthusiasm in doing it when they did, and they're front-running SpaceX a little. SpaceX will be later this week. They're obviously front-running OpenAI. They're front-running Anthropic because they're going to be coming to public markets later this year. But when news of this broke, it kind of sent shockwaves through big tech, because a day later, someone asked Satya Nadella from Microsoft if they had thought about going to public markets and doing a stock sale. And Satya Nadella said they had not looked at that. They might look at that. And then on Friday, news broke in the middle of the day that Meta was weighing a big equity raise too. Again, looking to dump a large chunk of stock onto the public market to raise money, not through revenue profits, not through debt, but just through, a new share sale, which is comfortable for a balance sheet to hold, just dilutive for existing shareholders. Google got there first, and then, the next company to seem to maybe want to take the bait was Meta. But when Meta did that, their stock fell from 610 to 585. So the stock fell about 5%. You can see that on Friday right there. The stock fell about 5% in just a couple minutes. So the market did not welcome this from Meta in as much a way as they did from Google. And some of that could be that Google kind of got there first, and so they were able to capture peak enthusiasm better than Meta is going to be able to. We will see. Also, if Google's going to sell $80 billion on a $4.5 trillion market cap, and Meta wants to sell $50 billion on a $1.5 trillion market cap, the dilution would be much stronger with Meta. The pain to public markets would be stronger with Meta as well. So we'll see. I'm going to be following that story closely, though, because these large sales by these Mag 7 type companies are very interesting, as well as just the SpaceX capital raise that's going to be happening this week as well. I know investors are watching that closely, and we're even going to have an event at our office if you want to come hang out with us and watch the SpaceX IPO kind of live with us. So that's all I've got for you today. Kind of just a semiconductor rebound day, not back to new highs. We'll have to see, is this a one-day rebound, or is this going to be kind of a new leg of the rally higher? We don't know that yet. We will be watching that. Hope everyone has a wonderful day. And of course, I look forward to talking to you soon.